Right, hi Year 10, it's Mrs. Mitchell here, and I'm just going to give you some practical kind of tips on what you could do to start your journal project. Now, I realise, obviously, being at home, you might not have masses of art equipment, so what I've done is I've just kind of ransacked the house and imagined some of the things that you might be able to find if you don't have things like paint or pastels or chalks or anything like that. So what I've done is I've kind of gone around, I've found that I've got some pencils, rulers, things from the kitchen like a fork, sponge. I've made some coffee and I've made a tea wash. So really good if you don't have paint, because you can then obviously apply some wet media with the things that you've got in your house. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by creating a bit of a background for my journal front cover. Now I want it to be quite muted, so I'm going to start with some tea and coffee wash. So obviously mix your tea in a cup or a beaker, and then you can apply it. If you've got a brush, that's fantastic. If you don't have a brush, it might be that you can find a sponge or something along those lines that you can rinse and use again. It might be that you dab with a sponge. If you can't find a sponge, it might be that you just literally use some tissue paper, and so you can create that textured effect. I'm going to add a little bit of coffee on here as well, because this is a little bit darker. So again, just mixing up, and I'm just because I want like background to start doing some titles and some sketching on. The next step was to find a font on Free Font website. Of course, you can use your own, but I've chosen this one, and I've drawn that on my front cover. I've just got to go around it in Fineliner. I've also been through an old magazine and kind of picked out some keywords that I quite like, and obviously in keeping with the theme of isolation. Just remember, when you are sticking them down, I would place them all first and then check and maybe move around, playing around with the composition. Okay, final touches now to my front cover. I have gone around all the text with some Fineliner and a light grey Sharpie, but you could use a pencil as well. I've splashed a little bit more coffee on top just to give it a bit more depth, and I've found some yellow paint which I've mixed up, quite watery, and I'm just using a fork just to kind of create some linear scratch marks over some of the writing. And then I'm going to leave that to dry, and that is going to be my front cover. Good luck, guys.